Happy Sunday, everyone. Today we're going to learn about doubting Thomas. Have you ever had a doubt? Has someone ever told you something and you didn't see it, so maybe you didn't believe it? Well, our story today comes from John chapter 20, verses 19 through 31. So this is my doubting Thomas on this side, and this is his friend, his ride, the camel. So this is the story of doubting Thomas. The disciples were hiding in a house the night Jesus rose from the dead. They were afraid, and then they heard, bam! They locked all the doors. Jesus came and stood by them. "Peace be with you," he said. The disciples looked at him in surprise, and then Jesus showed him his hands and his side so they would know that it was him. Because if you remember the last time they saw him, he was up on a cross, and he had some holes in his hands and his side. The disciples were so happy. And again, Jesus said to them, "Peace be with you. God has sent me to you. Now, it's your turn to go tell the rest of the world about me." Jesus breathed on them in a very special way. He said, "With this breath, I will always be in your hearts, even when I am in heaven. You now have the power to do the things I've asked you to do." Thomas was the only disciple who wasn't there that night. And when he got back, the others were so excited, and they told him about Jesus' visit. "I don't believe you," Thomas said. "I'll believe when I can touch Jesus' wounds." So a week later, Thomas and the other disciples were in the same house. Jesus came again and stood with them. "Peace be with you," he said to them. "Thomas," Jesus commanded, "come here. Give me your hands. Put your finger on the wounds in my hand. And now put your hand by the wound in my side. Do not doubt anymore. It's time for you to believe." Thomas's eyes popped. "My Lord and my God," he exclaimed. Jesus answered him, "You believe because I'm here with you, and you've seen me. Think of those who have not seen me, but believe in me anyway. You should believe, even when you cannot see it for yourself." So that's our lesson that we start with today. I've got some activities up that you can do with your family. One of them, you get to cook and you get to make some apples and do a little trick with some grapes. And there's also an art activity where I want you to use your hands and I want you to write the words "I believe." So the first thing I asked you was, have you ever been told something and you didn't believe it because you didn't see it? So let's play a little game and you can answer along. So I'm going to tell you about something and describe it, and then you can say to me if you know what it is I'm talking about. So the thing I'm thinking about is maybe on Friday night you went to bed and you looked outside and your grass was all green, but when you got up on Saturday morning, it was white and it had some cold stuff on it that you maybe could build a snowman with. So what was it? That was, well, it was snow. But if we were asleep and didn't see it, how do you know it happened? But we believe it snowed because then we saw the ground was white that morning. This is another thing that's outside. You can't see it, but you can see what it does. It feels cold on your face in the winter, and it makes the leaves fall off the trees in the fall, and it moves clouds around in the sky. Do you know what that is? Well, it's wind, but we can't see it, but we know it's there. We believe it. This thing is everywhere, and you can't see it, but you can see what it does. It happens every day. Some people don't like this thing because they want to sleep in. But it comes after night. Do you know what that is? It's morning. And so most people hope to have this thing. Countries want it. It happens when there aren't disagreements, when you get along with your brother or your sister and everything's going just right. is the opposite of noisiness. Do you know what that is? It's peace. And this thing is important for all of us who live here on earth. Some people who maybe go off of the earth have experienced a period of time without it. But that's not many of us. And it keeps things from floating up and away into space. Do you know what that is? We call it gravity. Again, we can't see it, but we know it's there. Now this one's easy. This person was brought to earth to love and teach us. And people tried to get rid of this person by putting him on a cross. But this person came back to life after 3 days, and now he lives in our hearts, and we believe even though we can't see him. And that's Jesus. So there are many things that we know are there that we can't see. We know they exist because we see the effect that they have on the world around us. Thomas wasn't sure that Jesus was alive until he saw Jesus. But Jesus wants us to trust that he exists. And he wants us to trust that other things exist like wind. And we believe this because we see the effects. We can believe in Jesus because we can see how Jesus is at work in our lives and in the world. Jesus said that we are blessed when we believe in him, even though we can't see him. And that's the good news today. I know it's been hard. We've all been home and we're all wondering, when do we get to go back out and play with our friends and go to school and do things the way we used to? I know that we all didn't like getting up in the morning, but we liked having a routine. We liked getting to see our teachers or our friends or getting to see our grandparents and extended family. But I believe that this will end and that we'll all get to be together again. And it's not too far off. And I know that when we do, we'll have a lot to talk about and we can share our experiences. And we're probably stronger because of them. I know we've had a lot of family time together and I think that's great for our families. I know I've gotten to see my kids a lot more than I would have had we been at school. So I know it's been crazy and it's hard to explain, but it's also been a nice gift to get to sit back and enjoy everybody. So even though we can't see things, we believe in them. We believe in the common good. So today we've learned about doubting Thomas and the word doubt. Does anybody know what the word doubt is? It's a weird word, isn't it? That's when you aren't sure that you believe something is true. So like Thomas doubted that Jesus was really alive. He said he had to see it to believe it. He had to touch the wounds in his hands, which would make me feel creepy. But when Jesus visited Thomas and the disciples, Thomas believed it. Seeing is believing. There's a lot of things we do as a leap of faith. It's just like last Sunday. Did anyone get an Easter basket? I didn't see the Easter bunny come. But when I got up, there were 3 Easter baskets here for my kids. So the Easter bunny came. I believe it. I believe in the Tooth Fairy. I believe in Santa Claus. These are things I don't see like that night, but they come. I believe in the goodness of the world. And I believe that I will get to see all of you soon. And I believe that I will have a great time again and we will enjoy each other's company. But until then, I hope that you will join me and I hope we can do Sunday school together on Zoom and I hope that you do some activities online. And if you have any questions or if you just want to email me or call me, you can. Bye.